Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. In this video we're going to be wrapping up a lot of the electrical and plumbing, taking care of a lot of details to get this house ready for inspection, a few carpentry things, and probably some other stuff. I've been very busy and distracted from this project for a while now, and I really want to try to pull it back in and focus on some of these videos. So in this video we're going to take some time and show some of the tasks that I'm doing in a detailed manner that may help you to do the same thing in your projects. Let's get started. Right now I'm standing in the living room. On this side of the wall is the bathroom. This is the bathroom that's off the kitchen. This plumbing right here came down and came over here, but a board fell down and broke it, so this needs to be fixed. So we're going to use this as an example. So this is 1.5 inch pipe, which is the vent for the bathroom sink. To make this repair, we need to extend this 1.5 inch pipe down, hit a 90-degree bend, and then come over and connect with another piece of 1.5 inch pipe to this pipe. So you can see this purple, that is where it's primed. Priming is just part of the gluing process with PVC. This kind of prepares the pipe for the glue to bond properly. So then in this situation, we're going to pop the coupling. That's what a coupling looks like. And all a coupling does is allows you to connect lengths of straight pipe together. So that is what the fitting looks like clean before primer. So we'll go ahead and put some primer on this. This is a big can of primer. You can get different sizes, and then inside of it you've got a swab on top of the cap on a little piece. So the bigger cans have bigger swabs, so you have to be semi-careful because you're getting a lot more fluid, a lot more primer on it. So on these small fittings, it's way more than you really need. So sometimes it's nice to have smaller cans available, even if you do buy bigger cans and refill the primer cans, the smaller ones. You can do it all, but it's easy to make a mess with this primer, and this stuff basically doesn't come off. You can really mess some stuff up with this. So that is primed at this point, and then we'll go ahead and get it glued onto this brand new can. Hold on. Sorry for exhibiting my weakness. The glue is the same situation. This is just a medium clear. There's all different types of glues. This is sort of a basic glue. You're going to apply glue to the pipe, then the fitting, and again, it's a big swab, so it's kind of a lot of glue. Push it on, give it a good quarter turn, hold it for a second. You have to hold these things because the inside of this fitting is a little tapered, and that glue does something where it wants to push the fitting off. Where this really makes a difference is on bigger fittings. The smaller fittings, it doesn't do as much. But once you get up into 3-4 inch, and then even the bigger stuff, the really big stuff you see in commercial and industrial, it really can have a lot of pushback, so you need to hold it for a little bit. I don't really know how long it is. I just kind of give stuff a hold. Again, when you're working with smaller stuff, it doesn't have to be that much. But you can see it, and don't have to be scared of it. You can glue something on, push it in, turn it, give it a quarter turn, and then let go of it immediately. You'll see it just want to back off a little bit just to kind of demonstrate. Okay, next up, inside the fitting, around the pipe. And you can knock a little bit of the glue off, you know, if you need to. You don't want to dilly-dally too long with this stuff, but so it goes in and a quarter turn. And this is just, again, you can buy these couplings individually or in packs. It's just a scrap piece of pipe. I've got bunches of short pieces that I keep when you do this type of stuff. You're always cutting it up. Comes in 10-foot sticks. So next what I'm going to do, now that I've got this, basically is like I've extended this pipe out. I'm going to figure out where I need my 90 to go, and then I'm going to make a mark, make a cut, using a Sawzall. You can use a hacksaw, whatever it is you got, and then we'll fit the rest of these joints together. From here I'm going to be doing some eyeballing, but I want to get everything lined up about where I think I want it, which is about right there, or right there. And then each one of the fittings has a different amount that it goes into the fitting. With these, it's 3/4 inch. But basically what I do is I hold it where I want, I come in about 3/4 inch, and I make a mark with a pencil, a marker, whatever you got. And I'm cutting it again with a Sawzall. A metal cutting blade would work best, but I can't find one. All this cuts very, very easily. And knock off the burrs. You gotta be a little careful. PVC can break off kind of sharp, so you can cut yourself on it. But just knock little burrs off. So I got that slipped on there, dry fit. Need our other coupling. And you have to keep up with your any kind of fall you need. It's just a vent, but it still requires some slope. And right here is this is just a standard coupling, and on the inside of that coupling is a little ridge. They also make repair couplings that don't have that little ridge, and that ridge is just to stop this in the right position. So on a repair coupling, you get the primer, you get the glue, and you slip it up on your piece, push the pieces together, then you can pull it back into place, and that little ridge isn't getting in your way, allowing you to, not to be able to do that. I've got enough flexibility in what I'm doing right now to be able to kind of force it all into play, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're dealing with stuff real close to a stud where it's supported and you don't have any wiggle room, so that's where a repair coupling comes into play. And sometimes that is a big part of knowing how to do stuff like this, is just knowing what's available to you. Sometimes you're like, how do I solve this problem? I don't know what to do. Well, they make a specific part for that is not even a problem. So just familiarizing yourself with available fittings, available materials in general is a big part of just learning how to do stuff, just to know what's even there to be able to do it. So that's what we're going for right there. And it's not going to hurt anything to reprime stuff either if you want to. Priming kind of cleans things off. One nice thing about using the bigger swabs too is that it does hold a lot, so you don't have to keep dipping it as much. When you're doing something like this and you're priming 3 or 4 different fittings, it's fast. Okay, so it's our vertical piece. Slipping on the coupling, give it a little twist. Plumbing's fun. It's a lot of problem solving a lot of times because you're working around so much existing stuff. Other parts of the trade, sometimes you're coming in like framing, there's nothing in your way unless you're doing a renovation or something. But plumbing, you're always working with existing structure. We're going to go ahead and get everything glued at one move here. It's awkward doing this on camera. Getting glue all over me. Alright, so we are going to push this up, turn, come out. And just hang out here for a second. See, that pushed out a little bit. Even though I was pushing up it, this top one wanted to push out just a touch. And this is where some of the other glues may make a difference. They make hotter glues that set up really fast. Basically what it's doing is melting the pipes together. Alright, so that is set up enough. Now all this stuff, you wouldn't want to stress it, but you know, all this is holding at this point. Underneath the porch I've been working on, the main waistline comes down, hits the elbow, through this fitting, and then down to the ground, adapting to cast iron. I added this fitting here. It's a good sweep that gets things moving in the right direction, but I'm able to put a clean out here to take care of any issues. Let me be able to see inside that pipe, run a snake into it, but then there's also another clean out there, and then you can access it from the toilet and different fittings upstairs. Here, doing the same thing. And here's where these big swabs come in handy. Primed. I'm going to go ahead and hit this again. Had it primed a long time ago. The reason I never glued this up is I hadn't completely made my mind up of how I wanted to terminate this before, if I wanted to put a 45 here or anything like that. But you've got plenty of room in this 3-inch pipe to be able to work a snake into it. Plenty of glue. Both fittings. And then on this fitting, just going to have a plug. I want to make sure there's no glue on the threads when you do this. So that's it. If there's ever any kind of a problem, you can unscrew this, run a snake right into it, an auger, whatever you got, or just be able to look into it to see if there's anything odd going on. In my opinion, there's never you can never have too many clean outs. It's always good to be able to access them from places, and especially easy places. But sometimes they might not look easy to access when they're up on a ceiling or something, but it gives you a place that you can look into a pipe, shine a flashlight into it, and see if there's some sort of an obstruction in there. So that's where I put one. I just got done with those plumbing tasks, and I'm walking around looking for the next thing, checking the wiring, the areas that I need to finish. I've got the outlet for the oven, which will be put on the outside of the wall probably, so that doesn't need to be done now. That'll be after drywall. And then there's a plumbing right here that drywall is going to go on, then this connection will be completed. So other than that, I believe all the plumbing is taken care of, and I can't find any electrical that needs to be addressed. So at this point, I'm pretty much ready for the inspection. I do need to put some nail plates where some of the plumbing and electrical is going through the wall where it's at risk of nails hitting it. For example, you can see right here, you can imagine a drywall screw going into that, potentially even some of those. So I need to get some plates, metal plates that go over those. So I need to run to Lowe's and get those. But all of this junk in the house is going to be in the way, and none of it at this point really belongs in here anymore. So I need to get all of this stuff out. Basically, empty the house. So I'm going to take it all over to the house over here that I own and put it in there. Next step we're going to do is putting on some nail plates. So I've got the smaller nail plates that you can use, wherever you need them. Say there's something running right through this stud, you put a little nail plate. And then when you're putting up drywall, if you happen to go putting a screw right there, it'll hit the plate and you can't do it. Or later on if somebody goes hanging something. Down here at the bottom, where we've got the hot and cold water going through the floor, right here we've got a vent. Got these larger ones, so those go in. That'll protect any kind of screws from the drywall, and then when baseboards are being run, anything that gets shot into the drywall doesn't end up hitting any of your plumbing or electrical. So you've got all kinds of different places you might need one. Let's go over here for a second. Here's just where electrical wiring is run through the studs. There's some times where it's a good idea to go ahead and pop one of these on here. Most time you don't need one because the drywall screws aren't going to make it that far. But in the kitchen here, these are where cabinets could potentially be mounted. Now in that case, it's probably below it. But when you've got things running through areas that you may later on put longer screws for mounting cabinets or whatever it is, it could just be in a bedroom, some wiring going up high, or in a bathroom right where the vanity is, and somebody may end up driving a long nail or screw later on. So if you think you might need one, it's a good idea to at least pop one of these styles over it, or one of the larger ones if needed. When it comes to me making these videos, I am very short on time. And throughout the entire time I've ever made videos, of course my videos have changed one way or the other. I used to talk more, then I didn't talk. I played music, then sometimes I talk a lot at the end of videos. Regardless, sponsorships, especially sponsorships from SimpliSafe, have been one of the biggest things that have kept me going on YouTube. I have to keep these projects going, but the filming time required to do so is a huge portion of the time it takes to do the overall channel and doing these renovations and all that. It just takes a lot of time away from the work that I could just be doing if the camera was at home. So thank you very much to SimpliSafe. They offer security systems. They are very easy to install. They're very affordably priced to buy the system and to maintain the subscription. I believe it's about 50 cents a day, so $15-ish a month. It doesn't get any cheaper than that for the level of coverage you get, 24/7, professionally monitored, and if there's any issues at all, any of the sensors go off, the police are going to get alerted, and then the proper authorities will be dispatched to deal with the situation. Visit simplysafe.com/homemade-home to learn more about SimpliSafe's award-winning systems. They offer sensors to cover every window, room, door, plus additional sensors to detect smoke and water. They even have HD cameras for inside and out to help you keep an eye on your place even when you're not home. It's never been easier to order your customized system online. Head on over to SimpliSafe's website. The link is in the description below. This is something I end up having to do frequently when I'm doing stuff like this, where things kind of get out of square. So about right here is this little strip that's filling in between the ramp and the existing floor, but it's going down all the way. So what I'll do is I'll take a shim, and the problem starts about right here, conveniently the size of a shim. So I'm going to slip the shim underneath, put it down, and now I'm flush with the floor. So shim in. You don't have to worry about it. It's going to split the shim and everything, but it's going to give support to that piece underneath. And so this is a case where I do use screws. Sometimes I use nails. People say, why are you using nails and not screws? Then there's times where I'm using screws specifically. So when right now, if I was using nails, I could shoot nails in, and I wouldn't know if I'm getting a good grip on something. So when I'm using screws, this screw right here, you see there's two screw holes to the left and right of it. That's because when I ran that in, it didn't grab anything. So I'll just keep running my screw around in different spots till it gets a good bite. versus, like I said, nails. I could shoot nails in. It seems solid for now, but then over time it could get kind of loose. Then other times nails are perfectly fine. So this looks pretty good. I probably need to fill in with a little something right there. So let me find some little block of wood and drop it in there. And right here, I'm not actually going to run the screw into this piece of wood because that would split it. So I'll run it between them and the head will just kind of pin it in place. On this side. So this might look really riggy doing stuff like this, but any renovation is going to have a number of times when you're doing stuff like that. Even the nice houses that y'all live in, they look like this during renovations a lot of times, where you've just got stuff like this. But in the end, what's going on is underneath this is a lot of crappiness that I've repaired and put in the new joists underneath this floor, peeled back all the existing floor, of course, that was on all this, whatever it was before, and then done a lot of repairs, and then this right here starting to straighten things out. And then on walls, same thing. You're kind of coming in there doing funny stuff. Then each layer of things you do kind of starts to straighten things out and bring it to a more finished appearance. So by the time the floor is on this, what really matters in the end is this solid? And then is it moving you in a direction to have a nice, straight, even floor with nice transitions? And the same thing would apply to drywall. So not to talk that kind of topic to death, but you can't get hung up on what something looks like in the phases as long as it's moving in a direction of a, appropriately finished surface, whatever that is, the end result in the end. So if you are a builder doing some really nice job for somebody, it's going to have a very expensive price tag in the end, and your work has a warranty on it and all this type of stuff. Yeah, you can't just do rig jobs all the way on new builds and renovations. But in a situation like this, I'm going for a certain level of finish. And this type of work in between, in certain cases, is just what you do. This is the outlet beside the front door. It controls the lights to the living room, a three-way switch to control the light in the stairwell. It also controls the light and now the fan on the front porch. This is a 3-gang box. It started out being a 2-gang box that I had to switch out when I added the 3-way switch for the stairwell. And now that I've complicated the front porch, I need to switch it out to a 4-gang box. So I'm just going to be pulling this out. A box that's beyond a 2-gang box are going to have a tab out on the end like this, a 3-gang. And so I've mounted this 2x4 against the wall just to give that box extra support since it's kind of cantilevers out. How these boxes mount: this goes against the stud. You've got these little tabs here that help you kind of set it to accommodate to where the face of this box is flush with your drywall. Then you've got these nails and these little bracket pieces, I guess you'd call them, and then it basically toenails into the box. Then this tab does the same thing. And this kind of, holds itself right where it needs to be. That's got the holes, goes against the front edge of a stud, 2x4. You can just put that in there, and then you just nail it off, and then each one of those is where you mount whatever type of, whether it be a receptacle or a switch. So, and then the backs of these boxes, how they work is you've got these little tabs. You kind of push the wire through, and then that tab goes back up and kind of locks the wire in place. So this is a heavy-duty box. There's a big difference in the way they look. It's kind of a matte finish. Looks like it's almost kind of like a reinforced plastic versus just a slick hard plastic like some of the boxes are. Doesn't really matter. Just some context of what I'm doing and a little bit about the materials. Let's go ahead, get this pulled, and put the new one in. So with the box mounted, now I need to get all of the wires into the box. They're all 14 gauge wires. I've done them here and there throughout this renovation, so right now I don't even know what all of them are except the really obvious ones. This one is the one running directly to the box, the electric box. This is the porch light. This is going to be the living room lights. I can see that just since I had this hooked to a switch, but I need to identify what everything is. This one's running down to the box and then just hanging out of the ceiling, so I'm not sure what I was supposed to be doing with this one. So I need to get that figured out, and then that will let me know where I want to pull them into this box. For example, if you want this switch to be the lights here in the living room, it would be best to pull that wire in close to this. It doesn't have to be right behind it, but just it would be better to come in here than to have a wire going over here, then coming over here, and a wire going in here, going over there. So I'm going to figure out what my wires are and then label them. Not just telling you that to where you know what I'm doing, but just to where you know a helpful order to do things. And then I'm going to have wires like this, which are a wire for the three-way switch, so this one's bigger. So need to kind of get all of that put in and organized. What are you? What are you? All done. Old box removed, new box mounted, wires pulled into the box, trimmed, labeled, and got the temporary power rigged up to the lights. The inspector will see it as is, and then after that I'll come in with insulation drywall and then do all of the electric once that is taken care of. And then the final inspection is where all of the, the final inspection of everything, including electricity, will occur. Here on the porch, got some receptacles, including the one right outside, but I see that it ends here. I forgot to hook it up, so got to get that wired in, going through this wall and connect into the circuit in the kitchen. In keeping with everything else in this house, the doorway upstairs, so this is the threshold, these were the new ones that I put in after pulling the old one. There's nothing supporting, sorry, my headlamp's dying. There's nothing supporting the floorboards. So what I need to do is pull these nails out in the way and put a strip of something across here to give some support. When you step in the front door just on the inside of the threshold, you can feel kind of a squishiness. So you've got the subflooring and then there's flooring on top of this, but it's still a little squishy. These are some of the most handy snips for a lot of different things. Either channel lock, flush cut, put them up against something like this and you can snip something flush, but they work really good for pulling stuff like nails out. Yeah. Nothing to write home about, but just a little ledger for the ends of those boards. Those were some 3.5 inch decking screws.